Hi there, and welcome to the Everyday Entrepreneur Podcast, where I, Caitlin Fritz, help you reach your entrepreneurial potential. Together, we can build your dream social impact business so that you can leave a legacy beyond your 9 to 5. Hello. Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurship. My name is Caitlin Fritz. I am an award-winning and Forbes-recognized entrepreneur, enterprise educator, and business coach. And I've worked with founders across the world, businesses large and small, to build, grow, and scale their impact in their business. And if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here. Another little fun fact is I am an American living in the UK, so yes, that is an accent you probably detect. And what I want to talk about today is I want to get really honest and vulnerable, because not only on this show do we share some amazing inspirational interviews, tried and true tips of building a business, but we also share lessons and learnings around getting your mindset right for your entrepreneurial venture. And that's what I want to talk about today. All about mindset. Last week's episode, if you haven't given it a listen, then please go back and listen to it. We had Dr. Amy Jo Farrow, and she is an expert medical professional as well as a burnout coach. And we talked all about how this time of year can kind of either give us the signs that we're getting a little crispy and burnt out, and how we can really combat this in the new year. And I gotta be honest, when I had my first venture, I absolutely burnt out. I was working myself, I don't know how many hours a day, how many days a week. It was nonstop. And it wasn't until, your body is giving you signs that you need to slow down. And I remember getting really, really sick, tried to power through it, but I was bedbound for a couple of days, and I realized this is not sustainable. This is not the life I want to live. And it was that reckoning moment where I realized my mental health, my mindset is so critical, because if you do not have a strong and healthy mindset in your business, it is very difficult for you to really amplify your success and grow in a peaceful and sustainable way. So now that my little ramble is over about the burnout, I really want to talk about how I worked on reframing this mindset and how I support my clients, my coachees, to shape the mindset they want to have in business. And why is this important? Well, if you're like me, you've probably looked back at 2023 and said, where has the time gone now that we're in December? And maybe that stresses you out a little bit. You had all these big goals and dreams to accomplish this year, and it hasn't happened, or it hasn't happened the way you thought it would. Or maybe on the flip side, you're looking at 2024 and already making your 100 bullet point to-do list, goals list, accomplishments list. And that, I'm guilty of that as well. But that's not sustainable either, because then you're going to go into January exhausting all this energy trying to do 400 things on your to-do list. And by March, all of those goals will be by the wayside. And as we're in this time of reflection, it's important to recognize that our mind has thousands of thoughts per day. If you're like me, who is very multi-passionate, it's probably hundreds of thousands of thoughts per day. But according to research, the average person has between 60 and 70,000 thoughts. And about 75% of those thoughts are negative. These are those thoughts of, oh man, I wish I didn't do that, or oh, that was so stupid, or no one's going to buy my product or service. And what's even more concerning is of these negative thoughts, 95% of them are repetitive. That means we are letting this negativity creep in and live in that flight or fight section of our brain, and they just keep knocking on the door. So it takes a conscious effort to build and sustain an entrepreneurial mindset. Working on our mindset is kind of like eating your 5 servings of vegetables a day. We know we need to do it. We know it is good for us, but it often gets pushed to the wayside. Especially at this time of year, I really encourage all of the entrepreneurs I work with to really stop, because these repetitive negative thoughts can creep into our business decisions. They can creep into the goals we set for the new year. They can creep into the way we reflect on how 2023 has been. So I want to share with you 5 tips I use, and I encourage all impact business founders to use to reframe their mindset in this end of the year period. Tip number 1. This is inspired by a previous episode called How to Combat Imposter Syndrome, but it is really good for the end of the year mindset reframing. Create a brag board. I encourage my clients to create a brag board at the end of the year, which is as simple as you want it to be. It can be a Google Doc, it can be a paper, collage, PowerPoint slide, Canva, but list out or show all of the accomplishments of your year. No matter how big, like signing a client or getting a speaking gig, to small, having those one-on-one conversations with a focus group you've been meaning to talk to. And by collating them all at one location on your brag board, you'll be able to reflect back and look at all of the wins you've had, all of the things that went well. And when you're getting those negative thoughts, swirling back in, you are able to reference this board as a piece of truth in your business. And honestly, have fun with it. I always like to do a brag board before I do a vision board, because it really allows me to reframe the way I see my business, the way I see success, and how I want to use this moving forward into the new year. So tip number 1, create a brag board. Now, tip number 2, once again, it's like eating your fruits and vegetables. You've probably heard it all before. You need to have some affirmations. At first, I thought these were a little bit crazy because I was like, hey, I'm a business owner. I talk to myself enough in the day. You want me to share these 1 or 2 liners about X, Y, and Z in my business. But affirmations are really almost like a little fly swatter to those negative thoughts. If you have a thought coming in saying, no one's going to buy my product, if you've trained your brain to say, my product is amazing because people will benefit from my services because my clients will feel X, Y, and Z after working with me, you are swatting those negative thoughts away before they even enter. Genuinely, I'll be honest here, because we're always honest on the Everyday Entrepreneurship podcast. I thought affirmations were a little, I was like, I don't know if they're going to work for me. But how I do affirmations is I journal with them. So at the start of my day, I will, make 3 bullet points of my affirmations, handwrite them out, type them out, or if I'm really running late, say them. And it just frames my whole entire day. So I encourage you, however you like to do it. You could even do the Snoop Dogg affirmations rap, which if you haven't heard of, you need to, because that will hype you up. It's for children, by the way, so it's not actually like a rap. But affirmations will really build and reframe those thoughts you're having in your head. My next tip is you can be empathetic, but not a mind reader. Oftentimes, and this is something I am so guilty of, is I try to read the minds of my clients. And I try to project, maybe some negativity and fears onto them. Like, oh, they probably won't have the money for this coaching program. Or they're so busy with kids, when are they going to have time to take my course? Or they won't like the way I teach revenue, pricing, and business models. That is not my decision to make. People have their own agendas and make their own choices. I've had incredible clients who have multiple kids and businesses. I've had people who have saved or done, different payment plans to pay for coaching. I am not a mind reader. I cannot project these kind of negative thoughts onto my potential clients or customers. So, politely, you can be empathetic, but you also need to mind your own business. Because being a mind reader will probably only bring more of those negative thoughts to fester. My tip number 4 is reframe your thoughts on the spot. This is something that's commonly used in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. But when you notice you have that negative thought enter into your beautiful mind space, stop, drop, and roll. So immediately stop the thought. Sometimes this is an active endeavor where I'm like, hey, you're not making space in this brain. Drop the negativity and roll in with the positive. So when I am having a lot of self-doubt, insecurity in my business, when that thought creeps in of, oh, everyone is going to, judge me for putting my face on social media or X, Y, and Z, stop, drop, and roll. Once again, it's like working out. You need to do it over and over and over again for your mind to get used to it. But now, if I'm on the subway, the metro, wherever, negative thoughts creeping in, we don't have time for that, especially in 2024. So my 4th tip is reframe on the spot. And last but not least, tip number 5 is don't be afraid to get some encouragement or coaching. Now, with my clients and my coachees, we not only cover the business foundations, fundamentals, building and growing a solid and sustainable business, but we also cover some mindset work because you are your business. And if your mindset is not in the right space, then your business will not be as impactful as you want it to be. And with coaching, you can get an outside perspective to really go in and dig deeper, to have that CEO mindset you want to have. And it builds confidence and habits. And even if you do not want a coach right now, which I'm telling you, even coaches have coaches, get some encouragement from your friends, family, or fellow business owners. We have all been there. We've all had those moments of vulnerability, burnout, or just negative thoughts. And this is the perfect time of year to really reconnect with your business buddies and your friends and family to get a positive uplift in your mindset. So just to recap, here are some tips and tricks I use and I encourage my clients and coaches to use when reframing their mindset in their business. First, create a brag board and celebrate all the accomplishments you've had this year. Second, write or speak affirmations to build positivity in your mindset. Third, be empathetic, but not a mind reader. Quit trying to project those negative thoughts on your potential clients or customers. Number 4, reframe those negative thoughts creeping in with our stop, drop, and roll methods. Stop that thought, drop the negativity, and roll on in the positive. And last but not least, get some encouragement or professional coaching. These are some helpful tips I hope you can implement today as we are winding down this 2023 year. And if you're interested, I have some additional spots opening up in 2024 for a January kickoff in one-to-one coaching. So if you want to move from your idea to action in your impact business, then join me. We have one-on-one sessions, Voxer communication, pre and post work to really accelerate your business development. Thank you so much for listening to me. Please give me the best Christmas gift there is, a wonderful review on wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, this is Everyday Entrepreneurship. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Everyday Entrepreneurship. To stay tuned and most up to date, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me, Caitlin Fritz, on Instagram. And if you have any questions about building your business with impact, drop me an email with the link in the show notes. This podcast is produced by the great people at the Podcast Boutique. I look forward to catching up with you next week. See you then.